Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's a beautiful day out in the woods, and today we are reviewing my oilskin tarp from Bushcraft, Spain. Oh, and isn't it a beauty? I love this tarp. I spent my own money on it, of course not sponsored by them, maybe one day, but nevertheless it was worth every penny. It's handmade in Spain, so the build quality is second to none. All the tie-out points are double stitched along with the main stitching that runs throughout the entire perimeter. The tie-out loops are extremely beefy. I can't imagine these ever failing on you. You'd have to really do something wrong or try to rip these or tear them out. It's a 3x3 tarp, a square, just about 10 by 10 feet. It weighs in at 6.5 pounds, which is about 3 kilograms. But every tarp is unique. As I said, they are handmade, so each one is going to vary a little bit in its exact size and the weight. But you can imagine, give or take a few grams and maybe a few millimeters, they're going to be about that size for you. So today I want to open it up, show you some close-ups of the stitch work. I'm going to set up my two favorite shelters. I'm not going to show you guys the entire process. I'm just going to show you the finished product of how this tarp works for the two shelters that I use most. So yeah, weighing in at 6.5 pounds, 3 kilograms, it is definitely not light, right? This isn't for the ultralight backpacker. It's kind of obvious. I would say it's not even for me as a backpacker, which on that note is why I have my modern backpack with me today and some trekking poles. I'm doing a bit of training for my upcoming Norway trip. We are going to be covering 35 miles in about 3 days. We're staying 4, but one day we're just going to hang out and do zero travel. But yeah, about 2 weeks from today, the time I'm shooting this video, we're going to start that trip. So I wanted to throw some weight on my back and get used to wearing this backpack and get myself in shape. Anyway, back to the tarp itself. There's 19 tie-out points in total. So there's obviously the corners, and between each corner there's 3 on each side. Along with that, you also have a center seam, 1 tie-out point in the dead center of the square, and then 2 more in the middle of that center point going to the sides. So you can imagine it's basically 5 tie-out points going through the middle if you include the 2 on the sides. Yeah, oh, and it's 100% waterproof. I can attest to that. I've been out in rain and snow multiple times, and after 6 months of use, I've had 0 issues with any leaks, anything like that. I've been pretty close to a campfire, as close as you should get. Of course, this isn't completely fireproof, but I've had coals and embers explode out of the fire and hit the tarp, roll off it, and 0 problems whatsoever. Yeah, it's, as I said, worth every penny. Awesome piece of gear. And it's oilskin, as they say, but it's not just oil. I tried to figure out what type of oil they use and what that's all about, and they claim to have a formula of oil and wax. So whatever they're doing, their secret formula, it's working. So we're going to show you the tarp setup in 2 configurations today. The Tarp Tent, as they call it, and the Plow Point. I'm not going to show you the whole process of setting up the Plow Point and the Tarp Tent, because I already did 2 videos on that subject matter. So I'll leave a link in the description. If you're interested in seeing how I build these 2 shelters, go ahead and scroll down, click on the link, and check out those videos. Nice. Sun's coming out a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna get to work on setting up those 2 shelters for you guys. We'll give you some close-ups on the stitching, how everything looks. And just to show you, this is what I bring when I go out for a more bushcraft style outing. Let's give you guys a quick look at how it looks, just laid out flat before I start setting anything up. The main thing I want to show you guys is the center tie-out point and the adjacent tie-out points that run along the center seam. So those are pretty key features to have in a quality tarp. Configuration number 1, the tarp tent. It's a killer shelter. I stayed 4 nights in Estonia in this same tarp configuration, same tarp. Let's give you guys a quick look inside of the space you got. There you go. So you could easily fit one person on this side of the pole, one person on this side, and still have plenty of room for gear. Well, cool. One of my preferred configurations for a square tarp, specifically a 3x3 meter. One little tip I'd like to add about setting up the tarp tent: add a piece of bright paracord as your front guy line. It's not a must, but for me, it took me about 3 days to get used to the fact that I had this cord there when it was olive green, blending in with the floor, all this. I kept walking into it and it was always a nuisance. So having this in this color, in this fashion, helps to prevent that. Yeah, and here's a look at one of the side tie-out points. Awesome work. Very similar to the corners. Double stitched all the way through the edges. The loop is embedded very deep within the stitch work. Absolute top-notch quality. All right. Here we have the Plow Point. It's a little different than I normally do it. I'm using a support stick to give myself some more headroom. But it goes to show you just the versatility of tarps, why I love them so much. Whether the ground is not level, you got some variables here or there, you can always tweak it, you can always fine tune it. And a tarp, with a little bit of patience and know-how, you can set up a killer shelter. I'm really happy with the way this one came out. I'm utilizing a ridge line and this support beam. Normally I just use a ridge line, but it tends to be a little lower in headroom. Whereas today, using this stick to prop it up, I could almost stand right here. I mean, I am with the legs spread out, right? So I could set up a chair, I could put a fire here, and it's still relatively sheltered. So between the Plow Point and the tarp tent, I really feel like those are the ones I need the most. If I want more openness, more air, I'm gonna go Plow Point, but I still have the back sealed in. If I want to be a lot more weatherproof, and if it's a bad stormy day, I can close this in, just have a small opening, and go tarp tent. So that wraps things up for today, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, found the information useful. I'm not trying to sound like a commercial here and give them a free plug, but that's kind of what's happening. I only talk about gear in such a way that I'm really proud of and very happy to own. So if you're in the market, if you're looking for a oilskin tarp, check out Bushcraft Spain and what they got. Pretty cool stuff. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I'll see you guys again next week.